Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are looking at the meditation slokas of the Vivek Chudamani. Start from the 255 and there are 10 slokas and we are looking at the essence of those slokas. These are meditation, has to be learned and contemplated on. It's not something to chant but something to inquire using the meditation slokas. We're now doing 265. Uktamarthamimam atmani swayam Uktamarthamimam atmani swayam Bhavaya pratita yukti virdhiya Bhavaya pratita yukti virdhiya Samsayadi rahitam karam bhuvatu Samsayadi rahitam karam bhuvatu Tena tattva nigamo bhavishyati Tena tattva nigamo bhavishyati. So up to that we have Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani are the four, or the Makutam, or repeated in all the slokas. Now we have a different here. It says Tena Tattva Nigamo Bhavishyati. So Uktam Artham Imam Atmani Swayam. So Imam Uktam Artham. So Imam in this way, in what way? In this way means in so far as we have discussed so far, in that way. That means I am that totality. Tattvamasi means I am Brahman. How can I be Brahman? You have to follow the logic of it. It's not a vachartham, not a word by word meaning, because vachartham doesn't make any sense. How can I be the total? Because I am here and the total somewhere. So it's not the vachartham but lakshyartham, means indicatory definition. Because when I say I am only identifying myself with the localized equipment, and therefore say a pot space, thinking that I am only a space within the pot, and how can I be the total space? So if this pot space, you are the total space. If the teaching is Tattvamasi, you are that. Says how can I be that? Because I am only limited space, the other fellow is a bigger space, and he is a bigger pot and the smaller pot, and therefore there is a pot differences depending upon the size of the pot. Only I can accommodate this much and the other fellow can accommodate a bigger plot. Why he is a bigger plot? And he is because that is its nature. And this in fact is a Dvaita philosophy also. Each one is like a pot and your happiness is only the pot full of happiness. That means you cannot take more than that. And other fellow has a bigger pot, therefore he will have more happiness. Why he has a bigger pot and I am a smaller pot? Don't ask that question, because it is so. So therefore it is, you have to accept your size of your pot, and that is what is essentially Dvaita philosophy is. But here this is the space in the pot, thinking that I am only a limited space, has to recognize that I am the total space. This is the analogy given by the Gaudapada in the Mandukya Karika. It says the pot space has to learn that I am limitless space that pervades even the pot walls also, and therefore I am unbroken akhanda space. So space cannot be broken. So even though I make a pot, and the pot space I think is smaller for utility purpose, because I need to carry some water, so this pot is bigger than that pot, I cannot carry that. Bigger pot is too heavy and smaller pot is not sufficient, so I need this particular pot for my transactional purposes. And therefore pot space has a utility, and pot space has, you can fill it up, and you can fill it up beautiful things or dirty things also in the same pot. So that has nothing to do with the space. Space is immaculately pure in spite of what you put in the pot. Space has to recognize, while remaining in the pot, that I am the total. because it is a part space has the problem. Total space doesn't have any problem. So it is a part space who thinks that I am only limited space, and by comparing with other parts, so therefore there is a comparison, and there is a bigger parts, therefore I become jealous. There is a smaller parts, so I am very proud. All that is because of this small part space, thinking that I am individual part space which is different from the total space. So I had to analyze the space in me is nothing but the total space only due to upadhi. Upadhi means the walls of the part is making me as though, quote unquote, different from the outer space, because I can accommodate water but outer space cannot accommodate water. Therefore all that has to be understood. I have utility, purpose and all that, and part space as though has a date of birth, and when the part breaks there is a date of destruction. That's only for upadhi part. That means upahita part, upahita space. The space enclosed in the part has a date of birth. When the part forms, it has a date of birth, and the part breaks is the date of death. From the space point, there is no birth or death. So ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the part is broken, the space is not broken. That's essentially what Gita sloka starts with the teaching. You say you are crying where asocyan anvasochatvam, and panditaha na anusochanti. Be wise so that you don't cry like other people. Become a pandita. How do I become pandita? It says Uktam artham imam. In this way you have to understand the artham. Artham is the essence of it, essence of that which is Aityadatma Vedagam Sarvyam Tat Satyam Sa Atma. The essence of the whole universe is nothing but the pure existence on which it came, by which it sustained, into which goes back. And you are that, because you are conscious entity, conscious of the existence of the whole world itself. Without you being conscious of the existence of the world is not established, at least for your mind. For me to know there is some object there, I had to see. Then only I say yes. I say, yeah, I saw it, therefore you should believe. Say, then I should have faith in your words, because if I don't see it, I don't know whether it's true or not. Until I see, the existence of an object is only indeterminate. It may be there, it may not be there. There's a 50% probability it may be there, it may not be there. But when I see that existence is established or confirmed by my consciousness confirming the existence, without that, inert existence cannot be established. I can establish my own existence independent of any means, because I am not only existent entity, but I am conscious entity, and therefore I am self-conscious entity. Self-consciousness comes because I am localized entity. That is because essentially what a human being becomes. Human being is not only is conscious of the surroundings, but also I am self-conscious, and because of that only I make lot of wrong notions about myself. Because I am self-conscious entity, I take myself, what I am not as I am, I take the reflecting medium as the essence of myself. Therefore, I am limited as this body, or this mind, as this intellect, and I transact the world with the superimposed limitations of the body, mind and intellect, and then suffer the consequence of the superimposed limitations, and say I am only a localized part, I am a small part, is a big part, and Vaita says that's your fate. You are going to be that part only. You can become full of ananda by surrendering yourself to the Lord, but that's all happiness you can get. You cannot take more happiness, therefore you be happy with what that happiness. That's what Dvaita philosophy in essence. That's what I have learned so far. But anyway, here Uktam Artham Ima. So Imam, this having this analysis of extensive analysis of Tattvamasi, for that only scripture is telling you Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha. So go to a teacher, Tadvijnanartham sa Gurum eva abhigached, and the Krishna also says Tadviddi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. To understand this only, approach a teacher. That is the first step in required. Once I recognize that all my pursuits are not giving me the happiness that I want, That's what Mundaka Upanishad says. Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano nirveda mayanasya krutakrutena tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet samitpanihi sotriyam brahmanishtam. So approach a teacher who is fully established in that, have understood, and is sotriyam. He himself has listened to the scriptures from his teacher, and that way not only he knows the scriptures, but he knows how to teach also, because he has to come down to my level, because I am very questioning mind, I am a rational intellect, I claim, and I come from a very scientific mind, so I cannot accept just because you say so. So I need a complete logical foundation for me to accept it. So the teacher has to come down to my level and teach. For that, he has learned that kind of lesson from his teacher to teach. Therefore, you are led to that teacher when you are ready. That's what essentially the Lord himself will take you to the teacher, as though when your mind is ready to absorb, and you get that kind of teacher that is conducive to your feelings when you are longing for this kind of knowledge. Says, in fact, I was fortunate enough that I was not looking for. I had gone through the JK analysis, and what it says is your mind is conditioned. I said, that's very good. Yes, I recognize it under condition. So what should I do? So you have to uncondition yourself. Yes, that's I would like to do it. What should I do? Don't ask that question to me. Why? Because if I tell you how to uncondition yourself, then you are reconditioning in a different way. So what should I do? Observe your mind. That deconditions the mind. That means be a Sakshi. That's what Vedanta says, Sakshi. So I thought, okay, let me observe my mind. So who is observing the mind? Again, the mind is observing the mind. So I got lost in the process. Nothing happened. I went along with the mind, because unless my mind is prepared enough to observe the mind, for that I need to have a vairagyam. Detachment is required for me to stand apart and look at the mind. And for that only all karma yoga, bhakti yoga are methods of deconditioning the mind. So deconditioning is a process only because conditioning was a process. Therefore, another process is required to decondition the process. But this process of deconditioning should not condition again. So therefore, it is yoga. Yoga means I need to bring Ishvara into picture. See, karma yoga is in actions as I am surrendering to something higher, that supreme reality, where the mind attitude is changes in my actions, and therefore the vasanas will not be there. Yajñārtam karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So when you do for the sake of yajna, karma will not be binding you. That means there will not be any vasanas. So yajñārtam means what? Yajñāsa means the paramartha, for the sake of paramartha prityartham, says aham idam karishye. So the whole upasana, everything is, says Sri Mahavishnu avahayami. So in the Vishnu Sahasranam also, I am invoking the presence of the Lord. So to please the Lord, I am doing it. How do I know the Lord is pleased or not with my prayers or actions? Says, before you question whether the Lord is pleased or not, are you pleased with your actions? No, if I am not pleased in the action, then in that case, if you yourself are not pleased with your action, then how do you expect the Lord to be pleased with your action? So essentially, implication is that not only I have to do my part, my best, so that I have no more regret. Yes, I have done my part, my best. There is nothing more I can do. That means you are pleased with your action. Lord in you is there, is also pleased. So that is essentially the attitude of Ishwararpita Buddhi, and that Arpana itself prepares the mind in such a way that I am ready without any. That's called Yajñārtham. Yajñārtho also implied I have to perform an action in a self-sacrificing way for the benefit of the totality. That's how Swami Gurudev used to define the yajna. The yajna is cooperative action where everyone participates in the action, their part, their best, in a self-sacrificing way, not for their benefit benefit for the benefit of the totality. If the totality is blessed, then I am also part of the totality, so I'll also be blessed. And not only I, but everybody else also are blessed depending upon their contribution. So I take the results depending upon my input, you take the results depending upon your input. I'm not going to take your results, then that's essentially stealing also. And that's also Krishna also gave a warning. So this is what I had to prepare my mind. So I had to condition is deconditioning is also a process of karma yoga and upasana yoga. Action involves ispararpita buddhi, and the prasada buddhi, accepting the results, is non-reactively I accept because it's coming from him. That attitude will prepare the mind so that I can stand apart and then look at the mind, and that's what is called observing the mind. That means I'm taking the role of Sakshi. To take the role of a Sakshi, that Sakshi is nothing but this Tattvamasi, you are that. How can it be? Because we said the Sakshi is Sakshi Chaitanyam, means if all-pervading consciousness is all-pervading, only that part of the light that falls on the buddhi is called Sakshi. It's not that there is a part in the total light. So even though the room is lighted and all light is falling all over, that part of the light that is falling on this hand only gets reflected by the hand. That part of the light darting on the face will get reflected by the face. So every part of the, as though is consciousness which is light is all over, every object is reflecting only that part of the light that is falling on that. So local buddhi reflects only that part of the total light as though part falling on that buddhi, and therefore that's called Sakshi or Kutastha Chaitanyam or Sakshi Chaitanyam or witnessing consciousness. And that part is reflected by the hand, and what you are seeing is only reflected light. You cannot see the original light. Original light, if I remove the hand, you cannot see the original light, even though original light is there. So I need the hand to recognize the light. I need a light to recognize my hand. If it's too dark, you cannot see there. But I need the hand also to recognize the presence of the light that is falling on that. So I need a Sakshi. For Sakshi to be recognized, there has to be Sakshyam. Sakshyam is that which is witness. So witness is what? The buddhi, all the operations of the buddhi. Who is a Sakshi? The consciousness, Chidabhasa itself, as though acts as a Sakshi. I had to recognize that my own buddhi, using what? Reflected consciousness only, but recognize the reflection of the consciousness coming from the original consciousness. Looking at the reflected light from the hand, I have to see the original light that is getting reflected, not the hand, but original light that is being reflected. That's what is called the Uktam Artham Ima. This is, in this way, one has to use a very subtle intellect to discriminate. It's not the hand, it is that because of the hand is seen, that is the light. And that's why it's not the buddhi, but it is because of which buddhi is known, or the vrittis are known, or I am conscious of the whole world also through the buddhi. That is the consciousness, that is the one that needs to be understood. So Uktam Artham Imam Atmani, in the Atmani, in one's own self. Here Atmani means in the buddhi itself. One has to recognize that Swayam Bhavaya. One has to inquire oneself here. It's not the group meditation or together meditation. All that doesn't do it. You have to sit on your own. So when we marry, it says this Dharmartha, the Arthecha, Kamecha, Dharmecha, Arthecha, Kamecha, Nadicherami. That's how we take an oath in terms of during the marriage time. But it doesn't say Mokshecha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The fourth one is on your own. You have to do inquiry within, and that is Swayam Bhavaya. You have to inquire within. Pratita Yukti Yuktihi, the famous the statements of the scriptures that is the Prasiddha Yuktihi, that is Mahavakyas. Using the Mahavakyas, I had to inquire within, that I had to see Bhavayam, using Atmani in the mind, in the buddhi. Ya samsayadirahitam karambuvatu tena tattva nigamo bhavishyati. And that who is the one who can do it is samsayadirahitam, without any samshayas adi. Samshaya means without any doubts of my own existence and of the infinite nature of that. And we go into that. What are the obstacles in the spiritual path is one of the fundamental obstacle is the samshaya. Means doubt about what? Doubt about pramana and doubt about prameda, the prameyam. And this becomes a problem. That's why we go in the later as a nididhyasana, contemplate on that, how to eliminate. This is why in the Gaudapada it talks about the several obstacles that are there in the spiritual path. Even though after listening to the scriptures, still one has to make completely crystal clear, knowledge has to be there, and where the problem is going to be all highlighted, and we will continue this in the next talk. With this we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanora Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are looking at the meditation slokas of that are discussed in the Viveka Chudamani, and we are analyzing the sloka 265. It says Uktamarthamimam Atmani Swayam Uktamarthamimam Atmani Swayam Bhavaya Pratita Yuktibhihi Dhiya Samsayadi Rahitam Karambuvatu Tena Tattva Nigamo Bhavishyati. Tena Tattva Nigamo Bhavishyati. So this way you have to inquire using the Pratita Yuktihi. Means the Prasiddha Yuktihi, the famous Mahavakyas. So Mahavakyas are essential statements of the Vedanta, and they are called Mahavakya, means they are the ones that are the aphoristic statements that where there is you are that. That means the Jiva is nothing but the totality. So why do I need to know? Because totality is nothing but Anantam. Anantam is infinite. Infinite is therefore Ananda Swarupam. So therefore you are what you're longing for, because I am looking for happiness, not I am looking for Brahman or Ishvara or anything. I am looking for purely happiness, and that's what the teaching of Maitreyi by the Yajnavalkya to his wife Maitreyi. My dear, says that one wants any object only because not for the object's sake but for his sake, because he thinks that there is a happiness in that, therefore he is going after this. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Maitreyi, because of one's sake, only every object is favorable or desirable only for his own sake, not the for object's sake. So husband doesn't love wife. What he loves is only the happiness that she brings in. If she becomes a problem or pain in the neck, then you know what happens. So therefore what I love is only object of happiness only. Because I consider that I am not happy as I am, therefore I am looking for happiness, and I think she will bring or he will bring or it will bring. So all rat race is only rat race for happiness only. Because I am not happy as I am, therefore I consider myself unhappy without it, therefore I am going after all that. So with that, if once I know that I am the source of happiness, then there is no reason for me to go after it. If at all I go, out of compassion or out of play I do. So why do I can play, but that's called play. Play is only meant for fun, but I can have a Leela. Leela means the play. That's what Bhagavan, from Bhagavan points, creation is only called Leela Vibhuti. Leela Vibhuti, why does he have to play? Because he cannot but play, because there is something to play. So when I was sitting there, we used to have a cat. We called it Lollipop. We used to call a cat, and when small cat my wife brought, because she was so worried that somebody is going to pound it. So out of compassion she brought the cat. Not that we want cat or dog, but she is too compassionate. So she brought the cat at home, and it started growing, because if you feed it, it's also, and it minded its own business. But it used to come, and if you give something, she used to play around. So I was asking the cat, why do you play? So I was teaching Bhagavad Gita also to her maybe. So I was asking, why do you want to play? You say, all it says is meow. Meow means, I understood that it is Maya. So that means this is all, Maya means it's not really there, but I'm not really playing, but it's for fun. Why not I play? Because I have capacity to play. So therefore, the Leela Vibhuti is only for play's sake, provided he understand, because they say, why is Ishvara having an expense at my place? But Vedanta says, you are the totality itself. You are having a play at your expense. So why am I having? So the question is, why are you having it? So the question is, in the terms of, once I recognize that I am, then it becomes a real play. Until then I may say this is a play, and then I suffer consequence.